So, woke up, got dressed, went to my appointment. Usually they say it's fine if you have a full bladder. When you get there, they'll still do the belly ultrasound. And they were doing it and they were like, oh, your bladder's too full, I'll let you go pee. So I went to go pee, came back, and they did the ultrasound again on the belly. And they're like, oh, your bladder's it's still full, so just go pee and just sit there because you might pee again. And I literally went to the bathroom and peed twice. I peed 2 more times. I'm like, wow. I came back in the room and the nurses were in there, and I was just thinking like, is something going on? What, they're not in here and I just had to pee twice and they didn't see anything. What's going on? The 2 ladies come in that were in there doing the ultrasound, and then a nurse, an RN, comes in the room as well. And they do the belly ultrasound, and they're just like quiet and like don't see anything. And then they asked me if they could do a vaginal ultrasound. I said, sure, go ahead, whatever you need to do. So they did that, and we're just all quiet in the room looking at the ultrasound screen, and everyone's quiet. So I'm like, what's happening? You don't see anything? And they're like, well, I see here is the, what did they call it? The birth sac. Yeah, the birth sac was there, but there was like no active heart motion, and there was no, they didn't see a fetus at all. So I was just like sitting there like, okay. I had already like been feeling that I wasn't pregnant, or I felt empty. Remember I told you guys that I felt empty? I had felt empty like the entire pregnancy. And lo and behold, I was there at the ultrasound and they're telling me that it's just a sac that's empty. And I'm just like, wow, thinking to myself like, wow, God really told me this. And I'm actually not even surprised, because I was kind of warned that something like this was going to happen. I would get some news like this. And the nurse and like other workers in there, they're like all talking to me, and the nurse, she reaches for a tissue box behind her. And mind you, I'm fine, because in my mind I'm thinking like, okay, thank God, I was already given a warning. And yeah, so the nurse, she's like getting a tissue box, and like she's like taking tissue out and handing it to me and telling me like, I am so sorry, you should just go to go and see a OBGYN. And like she's handing me the tissue, and I'm sitting there fine, not watery-eyed, teary-eyed or nothing, not crying at all whatsoever. I'm just like chilling, just regular straight face and like just regular. And like she's handing me tissue and telling me she's sorry and I have to go see an OBGYN. And she's like, oh yeah, you'll probably have a miscarriage and blah, blah, blah. And then at that moment, I like started crying. And I swear, like I only started crying because of that, because she handed me a tissue and kept on saying sorry. And then the other women in the room were saying sorry as well, and they're all giving me a hug and rubbing me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is what makes it worse. Oh my gosh. So like I started crying, and that was that right there. And like they did a prayer with me and everything, and I was definitely grateful for that. Mind you, I had my son with me while this was going on. So I left the clinic then, and then like I just went to get something to eat, and I was just like sitting in the parking lot, just feeling very emotional, and also feeling like I didn't even know how to feel, if that makes any sense. But I was just like sitting in the parking lot, and I'm just like, wow, I'm like, do I cry? Do I not cry? what is going to happen. Will I have to have some type of procedure? Will they have to do some type of surgery or something to remove the birth sac? Or like, what's going to happen? Am I going to be okay? Just all of these thoughts running through my mind like crazy. But like all of a sudden I just like started like tearing up, because I was just like thinking of like how I was when I was at the clinic. They're all saying I'm so sorry and giving me hugs, and they're like, yeah, you're probably gonna have a miscarriage. Like honestly, I didn't really like too much how they gave me the information that they gave me, because I don't know, I just didn't like the vibes that I got from them when they told me the news. And I just like sent out a text message to my mom and my 3 sisters, a group message, just telling them what happened, the news that I got, and telling them that I felt empty. And that's basically exactly what it was. So after that, I called my boyfriend on the phone, or no, he had called me because he had just gotten off of work. And I basically told him what happened. He was like freaking out. He's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And yeah, I was just crying, and he like couldn't even believe it. And fast forwarding to the meaning of my dream. So basically what I got from my dream was that the baby in the dream was mine. And when my best friend in my dream had told me to tell the source my problem, what it was. Basically the source is God, and she was telling me that I needed to tell God basically to please forgive me and give me a second chance. And so you better believe, like that night I was like praying to God and like just telling him and asking him for forgiveness and to give me a second chance. And if this is to be, please let it be so right now. And I even like tried to like go back into my dream that night to try to talk to God as well. I just like meditated and stuff like that. And that was that. So the next day or a day after that, I made an appointment with the OBGYN. And my older sister, she was able to go with me. They did a pregnancy test. It showed positive, and the OBGYN, she did an ultrasound herself on the belly and didn't see anything. So she did a vaginal ultrasound, and she didn't see anything there either, but the birth sac. She did show that the birth sac had grown. The size of the birth sac was equal to what it was supposed to be based off of how many weeks pregnant I was, and which was about 8 weeks. But she just only saw the sac, and she was saying, you may have this condition called a blighted ovum. So she decided, she was like, okay, I'm gonna have you do some blood tests. We're gonna test your HCG levels to see what they are. So I had two blood works done. Both were to test my HCG. She had my HCG tested one day and then had me to have it tested the next day. And basically when you're pregnant, your HCG levels go up double at each day. So I did the blood work, followed up with my next appointment, and the results that they had were that my HCG levels had actually decreased. So that was definitely a sign that there was no fetus, basically. Still did an ultrasound to make sure, and then they basically confirmed that I was having a form of a miscarriage called a blighted ovum. And basically what that is when you have your hormones change and you have the symptoms of pregnancy, and the birth sac forms, but the fetus doesn't form. So basically that's what happened. They shared with me that I was actually having a miscarriage, and I was just thinking like, wow, is this really happening? And like, even though I felt like I was warned, it was still hard to take. And I was just so emotional because I'm like, oh no, don't take my child away. I like honestly didn't even like know how to feel, because in a way I felt like I was attached, and like I believed, I'm like, okay, I'm pregnant. It was kind of like I believed and I didn't believe at the same time. This was just like a very challenging time for me at the time. And mind you, it was just like me at those doctor's appointments. If it wasn't just me, it was me and my son, or me and my older sister. And usually, normally, my boyfriend would have been there, but we don't live together yet. And it was, I kind of like felt like I was going through it alone, kind of, because he wasn't there at every appointment like I know he would have been if we did live close to one, or lived with one another. But yeah, I just remember sending him a long text message about just how I felt, how emotional I was, and just how I felt like alone because he wasn't like able to be there with me at the doctor's appointments. And I was just like taking in all this news like on my own, like not with my significant other, the father. So like that right there, just by itself, that just like had me feeling some type of way. And yeah, I would like never wish this on anybody else, like ever. So the doctor said that what would basically happen, because as I was saying before, I'm like, I don't know what would happen. Like, would I be okay? Would there have to be some type of procedure done, or what? Like, how would, I'm sorry, I'm clicking my pen. But the doctor, the OBGYN basically told me like, basically your miscarriage, just look for blood, and it'll kind of be similar to like a menstrual cycle, but it may last longer than that, and basically it'll be a lot of blood and there will be cramps. It will be painful. A few days later, probably 4 or 5 days after that appointment, there came the blood and there came the contracting cramps. And just that, I'm like, wow, I have to go through this too. Like, that wasn't enough pain, like emotionally. I had to go through physical pain as well. And I definitely had to take some painkillers because the pain was so bad. Like, I really felt like I was like giving birth. Like, that's how bad it was, at least like the beginning of like giving birth. And it was just very painful, but I took painkillers and I tried to just like sleep the majority of the day, and just rest and laid in bed the entire day that was going on. And it actually continued and lasted for like 2.5 weeks of the flow. And amongst all of this happening, like, I moved out of my old place into a new place. Why did this have to happen to me? Like, what was the lesson in this? Like, I'm always trying to find what is the lesson in any and everything that happens to me. Apparently, there was a lesson in it, and it was supposed to happen the way that it did. I was like so emotional, feeling so many different types of emotions, but I definitely like was not myself after that appointment. Like, I felt like I was like kind of depressed. Like, I definitely feel like I wasn't myself. I wasn't like staying up late nights working like I usually do, and I just like didn't have the umph to do anything. Like, I just wanted to chill. I just wanted to lay in bed and watch TV and just like not do anything but just chill, just relax like all day, every day. And that's definitely not me. I'm always like up doing something productive. I had like no motivation at all to do anything productive. And that's just like how it was and how I felt. And I like hated that. Like, it really sucks when like you feel some type of way. You're like in a certain position and like you acknowledge the fact that you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing or that you're usually doing, but you don't do anything about it because you just don't feel like it, or you don't have the motivation or any type of momentum to change. So my next appointment after that, I met with the OBGYN. She did like an ultrasound to make sure that the sac was gone. And yeah, she said that everything was fine and that I was to be on pelvic rest for 5 to 6 weeks or something like that. Or was it longer than that? It might have been like 8 or 9 weeks. But I went home and was just glad and just couldn't help but be thankful, because things could have turned out way worse than that. And I was just like thanking God and just meditating in His Word and praying and just thanking Him. Everything happens for a reason. There's always a lesson in it. And there's this one quote that says that I really love, is that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So basically everything that happens in your life to you is actually for you, and it like shapes and molds you into this wonderful being that you were put on this earth to be. So there it is, you guys. I've shared my story with you, and I just want to thank you guys so much for listening. And this was like actually therapeutic for me. And I just want to speak to the people out there that have gone through this, and just to tell them that you're not alone. God has your back, and He will always have your back. And that things could have been way worse, but you made it through, and I am here with you, and God bless you. But I'm all good now, thank God, and I'm back to myself. Regardless of anything that I went through, I have to still thank God, because I'm thankful, and I know that God has got my back, and that everything is going to turn out great. And I truly, deeply believe that. I thank God every day that I'm alive. I'm still alive. I'm breathing. I'm well. My family is well. My son is well. And it just, I felt like this whole situation that happened has made me feel even more grateful that I do have a son. I already have a 3-year-old, and I love him to death. Don't know what I would do without him, and don't want to know either. But yep, this was definitely a humbling experience, and I'm grateful. I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and I love you guys. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload new videos. Have a wonderful, magnificent, blessed, beautiful day. God bless you. I love you. Take care of yourself. You are sensational.